Hello guys. Hello guys. In the next couple of videos I want to talk about the writing process. That's a big subject, of course, but I'm going to focus on one particular aspect of the process that students really need to hear about. And that was very important for me to learn as I developed as a writer. I'm talking about the distinction between writing for presentation and writing for discovery. Writing style guides focus a lot of attention on how the final product should look and be organized. The last few videos I did on writing style emphasized this aspect as well. We talked about a lot we talked about the features that we want the final product to have, but there are some potentially serious downsides to this emphasis on the final presentation. First, it can be a source of real disabling anxiety for writers if they think their work doesn't look and sound the way they think it should. This is true for writers at any level, but it's especially true for students and second, it's especially true for students. And second, with the final presentation can interfere with another important aspect of the writing process, which I'm calling the discovery process of learning what it is that you want to say in the piece that you're working on. Here's how I view the writing process. You will, I've drawn this diagram many times. The horizontal arrow represents the writing process from the earliest moments when you start thinking about the writing assignment and the final product, where you hand in your term paper or your thesis, chapter, or submit a manuscript to the professional journal or whatever. The point I want to emphasize is that this is a process that has distinct development stages, and the way you think about what you're writing and how you approach the act of writing will differ depending on which stage you're at. The stage that I'm calling writing for discovery is characterized by uncertainty about what you want to say and what you want and how you want to say it. Maybe your topic is new perspectives on the causes of World War I or how Japanese culture has influenced American pop culture, or the relationship between Hegel's. At this stage, you don't know enough about the topic to know what you're going to say about it. You're still at the stage of gathering sources and doing research. The mistake that I see many people make is that they think they can't start writing, or that there's no point in starting to write if they haven't already worked out what they're going to say. That is, they're not using the writing process as a tool of discovery, a tool for figuring out what you think about the topic, what's worth writing about, and how are you going to write it. And part of the reason for this is thinking that writing is all about presentation, assembling a final product that will satisfy whatever audience is ultimately going to read it and evaluate it. But this is a mistake that more experienced writers don't make. Every writer comes to appreciate that while writing and research are important, of course, a great deal of the learning and discovery process happens in the attempt to organize thoughts on paper or on the screen. We use the writing process to figure out what the issues are and what our point of the view is on those issues. During this process of writing to discover what we think about an issue, we're really writing for ourselves. We are the audience, not our teacher or the professor or the journal editor. And we're not overly concerned with the final look and feel of the piece between the piece because that's not what's important. This gives us a lot of freedom to write in different ways. This is the stage where we might brainstorm using point from list or sketch lines of argument or construct alternative outlines for the paper. Just by writing section headings and subtitles, we might start writing sections of the paper, the sections that we know we want to include. We might try a version of what is commonly called a vomit draft, which is an exercise in the writing process, a topic with a focus on just getting what you have in your head onto the page. Knowing that this is not a final draft, there's no pressure to use any of this in the final draft. As you move along in this process, your writing starts to take shape, and then you might work on polishing sections of the paper with a view to presentation. But that process itself can lead to new insights and motivate you to rethink a point. So it's functioning as a tool of discovery. Now, writing for presentation involves different mode of thinking. Here's your thinking about stylistic choices in writing for the audience that will ultimately read what you're writing. If you're writing a sermon that you're going to deliver orally in front of a congregation, or writing a speech for a political candidate that they're going to deliver on television, or writing a chapter for your committee who will ultimately be judging whether you pass, or writing the chapter of a book that is intended for a more general audience. All of these present different circumstances that include your choice of writing style and ultimately determine what counts as a successful piece of writing. So, obviously, you have to keep the context or presentation in mind when you're writing. The trick is not to let it interfere with the process of discovery. It's easy to become preoccupied with stylistic conventions. Ideally, you want your choices of style to help you in discovering what you want to say and how you want to say it, but helping to clarify in your mind who you're writing for and your ultimate goals are in the end. Writing for discovery and writing for presentation aren't mutually exclusive. When things aren't going well, they tend to reinforce one another. Both types of thinking can be engaged, but the priority is going to shift you as you move closer to a final product. There's nothing new or revolutionary about this, but students typically don't think about writing in this way. Sometimes this is a matter of time management for them. They'll say they just don't have enough time to work on the essay any earlier, but sometimes it's a matter of thinking that essay writing really is only about writing for presentation. It never occurred to them that they could use writing to help them discover what they want to say, or if it doesn't occur to them, they have no idea how to write with discovery in mind because they're preoccupied. Students need to be exposed to this way of thinking about writing as a developmental process and the distinction between writing to present and writing to discover.